Alright, what's going on, guys? Wanted to do a video for you all today on doing an amber delete on a headlight, and I'm using a 2017 Subaru Outback as my example here. And for the amber delete, I'm going to be covering it in a matte metallic black by a company called Vvivid. This is the film, vinyl wrap film that I'll be using. It's a matte metallic black. I don't know if you can see kind of the sparkles in the lighting there. Again, it's by Vvivid. It's a company out of Canada. This says their XPO series, but this matte metallic black is actually in their new Premium Plus line. What I've done already so far is I have gone ahead and I've cleaned off the headlight assembly, in particular really well the area that I'm going to be covering with the vinyl wrap. You see this green line here. What I've done is I've applied Knifeless tape in the shape of, there's kind of a black area underneath here where the amber delete is, where the amber marker is. Now this is just a reflector. It is not an actual blinker light behind that. The blinker piece is actually the front part of the headlight itself. So covering this basically will put an amber delete, or cover the amber marker itself or reflector itself. It does not take away from the blinker functionality at all. It just adds, in my opinion, a nice aggressive look, and subtle but aggressive look to your car. So what I've gone ahead and done is I've cut to size a piece of this vinyl that I need to cover down to this corner here, and all the way to this kind of corner here. It forms a kind of a triangular shape. I'm going to have some excess film in the middle here, but that's to be expected. So what I'm going to do is, kind of just make sure, double check everything here. Alright, yep, good to go. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and peel the film off the backing paper. One thing I do want to note is that in the garage that I'm working in right now, it's pretty cold. You may hear a buzzing kind of a sound going on in the background. That's a heater that I have going on, kind of blowing warm air this way. Outside right now, I think my phone was saying it's about 30 degrees. Actually, no, 20-odd something degrees Fahrenheit outside of the garage. So what I'm doing is I'm just kind of placing the vinyl generally where I need it to make sure it's covering the areas that I want for the amber delete itself. Okay, looks like I'm good there. Before I go any further, a couple of tools that I'll be using to help me out. Heat gun, of course, because I'll need it to apply heat in different areas and to help with smoothing and finalizing the product. I've got a wrap glove, which is helpful as far as smoothing out the film itself. This keeps your hand from dragging on it, and it just makes your hand can glide over the film a lot better with a wrap glove. Got a utility knife here, a cutting knife. The knife that I'm using is actually by NT Cutter, but the blades that I'm using inside of it are Olfa blade, 30-degree blades, which I prefer. Also a squeegee. This is just a 3M squeegee with a buffer on it. Typically I use monkey strips. This is a buffer that I think I got through Vvivid, or from Vvivid. Alright, so with that, let's go ahead and get started. Oh, with the cold temperature, it could make the vinyl a little bit hard to work with. When vinyl is cold, it gets a little bit brittle, a little bit stiff, so it can be somewhat difficult to work with sometimes. So, continuing on, and I'm just going to make sure I got everything in place. Kind of use my fingers for now to get the vinyl on there. Okay. I'm going to wiggle that there. I'm going to lift the film up. Oops. Looks like I got a little bit of something underneath there. I must have picked it up somehow. Okay, I'm just going to very, very carefully use the knife to get rid of that. I don't know what that is. Not dirt or anything. Alright. Okay. single little bits and pieces like that, it's a little easier to get rid of. When you start getting like dirt or clusters of dirt, you might as well just start over with that. So, okay, what I'm going to do is kind of feed the vinyl down. Actually, what I'm going to do is, some lines occurred as I pull it out. Sometimes that happens. But with vinyl wrap, just add a little bit of heat. And basically it'll heal itself, and any lines or whatever you had on there, they all go away. So this is, again, Vvivid's matte metallic black. And while they call it a matte color, you can kind of see in the camera, I think, that it's more of a, it's got a little bit of sheen to it. So to me, it's more of a satin black. It's got more of a satin finish than it does a matte finish. So I'm going to use my squeegee here to help flatten this out a little better. Got a little broader surface area to help me out. And what I'm doing is I'm making sure that I apply the film over the Knifeless tape, which is where we're going to be basically cutting the vinyl. Okay. Now what I'm doing is, because the headlight has a little ridge in here and where it meets the body, I'm lifting this up so I can feed the film into this natural ridge in the headlight piece before it kind of bumps out again and goes down and meets the body like that. You don't want to stretch it if you don't need to. When you stretch the film and leave it there, that can make it susceptible to pulling back in the future. So I'm doing it as I'm using my squeegee, feed all that, lifting up the film so it has some slack to move in to where it needs to go. Then I'm just using the squeegee to kind of feed it into that seam there where the body and the headlight meet. Okay. Just like that. Boom. The bottom part's done. I'm going to make sure I got any air out over the Knifeless tape. You see wrinkles on this side. That doesn't really matter because I'm going to be cutting that away. Use the hard edge here and make sure things are pressed in, fed in nicely. Alright, so we got basically our bottom part done. I'm going to work on laying down the top piece now, or the top portion of it. And then I'm kind of using my finger here to smooth that down and over. I can use my squeegee to feed that. I'm just going to kind of just fold the film up a little bit so that I'm feeding it into where it needs to go. Again, if I don't need to stretch it, then I'm not going to stretch it. But there may be, and there probably will be points in time where you'll probably want to stretch different areas to make sure it conforms to where you need it to conform to. Okay. So what I'm going to do to help me out is take my knife, and this area here, I'm going to cut away anyway. So what I'm going to do to help, you see this wrinkle building up here, I want to be able to pull that out. The wrinkle's going up now, so I want to pull perpendicular to it. So I need to be able to grab film to do that. I can't do that right now without pulling up the rest of this. So I'm going to take my blade here, and then just in an area where I know I'm not going to be needing some vinyl, cut that away. That gives me a little bit more room to bring this up here, kind of like a relief cut, and start working that part of the vinyl into this top area where I need it. And you can see it's catching on here. Now typically, what I should have done, which I typically will do, didn't do it for this, is I'll put masking tape. I typically use blue painter's tape on this side, the bumper, or excuse me, the body side, and same thing on the hood here, and see how it's grabbing on here with the tape. One, you'll protect the painted part of the vehicle if you do need a cut in that area, which we'll be doing here. But also, it keeps the vinyl from sticking to it, and in this case, because it's bending this way, it's forming some tension. You can kind of see an arc right here, that's the tension. And it's making it difficult to lay this particular piece. As I get over here, it's getting a little harder to lay down, because the arc is pulling. I can lay it down this way, but you can see the arc here, the tension is pulling this side down and eventually pulling into this area where I need to want. So what you can do, pull it back just a little bit to the area that you know that is not going to be needing coverage. And I'm going to make a relief cut here, being very careful not to cut the hood of the car. And so see, that's giving me a little bit of relief there. And now this area, I can lay it down and it moves on its own. And I bleed away so I don't cut anything accidentally. And then now this area here is more free to move. So try to make it a little bit easier on myself, and then for you, if you're doing this, make it a little easier for you. I'm going to do the same thing here because I'm getting another high tension here, which is starting to pull on this area where I don't want it to pull back up. Because I've laid that down nicely, so I'm just going to bring it back a little bit, double check, make sure I'm not going to cut into the car, and give it a relief cut there. And now I can move this even further, that issue. And basically all I'm doing is I'm trying to make sure that the film lays down to the areas I need coverage. Okay? And then make sure that's laid down very nicely, covering the knifeless tape. This here, make sure I cut the knifeless tape. Okay. And I just made a couple of series of relief cuts there to help me along and make sure that this is laid down in the areas I need it to. Alright, so now that's done. All I'm doing is going over where the vinyl goes over the knifeless tape, make sure that is on there nice and good so that I get a good clean cut. Go over the areas where I want coverage. Okay, make sure that this is good here. So there was a little bit of rip there, again, because of the tension, and it's cold, so the vinyl, again, gets brittle, but it didn't go past where I needed to, which is this line right here, so I'm okay, luckily, in that case. So, just lift this up to make sure I got a good coverage here. You can see the knifeless tape. I'm actually going to cut away some of this excess here so I can see it a little better. But making sure I leave enough coverage for there. Make sure I'm not cutting the car either. There. Okay. Alright, now I'm going to hit it with just a little bit of heat to help it settle down, but also to find if I have any hidden air bubbles. If there's air trapped anywhere in the area that you want covered, the heat will cause that air pocket to expand and you'll see the bubble right away. But I'm also using it to go over the knifeless tape where I lay down the knifeless tape. Make sure it's a good, that way I have a good clean cut when I want it. Okay. Looks like we're good there. Alright. We're good here. Smooth that down. This side as well. So that's good. Alright. Now, cutting the knifeless tape, what you want to do, take one side, kind of fold it over halfway, bringing it right to where it's meeting the vinyl, put your thumb on it, or a finger or something, and then you basically give it a good snap. Now, you see the green, I don't know if you can see that, the yellow filament is separated from the tape, and then you just basically follow the line that you've made. Okay, boom. I'll ball that up there so it gets out of the way. Then, peel this away. Probably grab the tape at the same time too. Actually, I'll just peel this away since I've already started that. And you can see it's ripping and pretty easily because it's so cold in here. Even with the heater blowing this way. can get rid of the tape. When I'm pulling the tape away, I'm kind of pulling it away from the cut. That way, if I pull it this way, I'm not lifting the film up more than it would, or than it should or needs to be. Okay, pulling it away from where I cut. Ball this up to get it out of the way. Right. Now, I'm going to go over where I just cut again with some little bit of heat. Make sure it's all sealed down nicely. Beautiful. Okay. All right. Now, to cut away on this side here, now what I'm going to do is there's an empty space between the hood and headlight there. I'm going to use my blade, the back of the blade in particular, against this, so I'm not cutting it, but I have a good straight guide. So, start here. Make sure that's down so it cuts nice and evenly, and then I'll start here since it's one hole. Start in that negative space and make my way that way. Okay, I got a good start there. Back of the blade is against the back of the headlight, so I'm not cutting anything. I'm actually in an empty space, but I'm using the back of the headlight as my guide to make a nice, straight, even, clean cut. Okay. Now, start peeling this away. How's that looking so far? Pretty good? Alright. And just go over it a little bit here on my finger. Smooth it out. Alright. Now, same concept on this side here. This is a little bit tighter. Again, masking tape here, it protects this side. I don't have that, so I have to be extra careful. But I know that there's a gap between here and the body, between the headlight and the body, so I'm going to use that as my, like I did before, use that as my guide. Get the back of the blade against, I actually have it pressed against the back of the headlight. There's enough gap there. It gives me a nice guide to make a clean and even cut without damaging the body, the car, or the headlight assembly itself. Okay? And I just have the back of the blade against that. It's not touching the body. The sharp edge is not touching the body or the headlight. I'm following this. Now I'm going to stop there and go start on this side. That way, because it got to a point where it's kind of wonky for me to be able to cut it nicely and safely. So I'm going to go ahead and start on this side here. Do the same, find the back of my blade on the back of this headlight assembly area. Be very careful not to damage the headlight. This is a plastic headlight assembly, so it will scratch if you are not careful. Alright, let's get rid of this excess here. Okay. Now I'm going to just touch it over again with heat like I did earlier. Make sure everything makes the film kind of settle in and settle down. Don't have to worry about stretching because I didn't stretch anything in this. Okay. Get that covered in there. There's my finger. That's in there too. Okay. Use my squeegee to help me out here, make sure everything's smooth. Going over some of these edges here. Got my fingers a little bit too big to fit into. Sure, everything is in on the edges there, nice and tight and nicely. Oops, push that in too far. Push too hard there. Kind of just wedged the squeegee between the body and the headlight there. Didn't mean to do that. All I did was just go in between the two. Okay, we're just going to go over it with some heat one more time. Make sure there are no air bubbles anywhere. Let's heat it on. That's it, guys. Amber delete on the headlight of a 2017 Subaru Outback. Let me go ahead and grab the camera here. So you can see, adds a nice kind of aggressive but subtle look to the headlight. Coming out on this side here. Can't really see it from there, but you come out from there and out to the sides here. Let the camera focus. Nice way to add kind of a stealthy, subtle but aggressive look to your headlight there. Alright guys, hopefully you liked this video, hopefully it was helpful. If you like it, subscribe, give it a thumbs up. Really appreciate it. Thanks guys.